I connect, I think, Angela, with your point deeply because it is our humanity. Andrew, I think what you're saying is yes, but that policy will impact our humanity. I think because I'm looking at this strictly through the lens of humanity, I hear you, Andrew, that yes, of course, we don't celebrate someone's murder. We don't uplift it. We don't encourage things like that, of course, because we are rooted in humanity. But I will be honest with you, I do not grieve it. Not for a single solitary second
Grief
that I grieve
different.
it. Right.
Absolutely.
I don't think any of us grieve, but I'm just saying it's almost getting to the point where it's like you have to come out and grieve this. I do not grieve it. Not for a single second. When our disagreement is rooted in my destruction, I do not grieve that death. It was not just Charlie Kirk. I mean, he is not the martyr here. Ta-Nehisi Coates did some amazing thought piece for Vanity Fair, and he did some really in-depth reporting within this thought piece. Crystal Clanton, the group's Turning Point, is his group Turning Point USA. She once texted, according to Ta-Nehisi's reporting, she once texted, and this is triple fact check. I talked to Ta-Nehisi about this. This is vetted and fact checked. She once texted a fellow Turning Point employee, "I hate Black people. Like, fuck them all. I hate Blacks. End of story." One of the group's advisors, Rip McIntosh, published a newsletter featuring an essay from a writer that said Blacks had become socially incompatible with other races, and Black culture is unfixable and a crime-ridden mess. In 2022, after 3 Black football players were killed at a school, Meg Miller, president of Turning Point's chapter at the University of Missouri, quote unquote, joked in a social media message, if they would have killed 4 more niggers, we would have had the whole week off. So this is the ilk of people who he followed, who the ruling class is suggesting that we mourn, that we grieve. Right. When really we were like, so what y'all having for dinner tonight? Like, what's everybody doing this weekend? You know, like it was not this moment of grief for us. And I will not be scared into silence around that. I think we have every right, and if not even a right, a responsibility to say, that's it. Like, this is 100% how we feel. I don't know. Andrew, what you're talking about, there is a pathway to a solution, I think. In our politics, there's a pathway to a solution. But not one that doesn't go through our humanity. This is my point. The humanity piece, I do not believe has a solution. I don't know the solution around that. I don't know that there is a solution, which is why I deeply connected with Angela's point around humanity.
Part of where I come from on this about how they see my humanity, and it's probably built out of the fact that I live in the South. There is a polite there is a polite understanding that we are oftentimes co-located, walking next to, standing in line in front of, or behind somebody who doesn't respect my humanity, doesn't believe I deserve what I got and where I am, or would wish me the worst. I almost in so many cases wish that they could just say the thing. And part of what I appreciate in some cases about the South is someone will call you a nigger, right? Or will put it on their truck, or fly their Confederate flag, high, loud and proud on that said truck, to just remind you of where they think your place is. And so much of me has been muted to that. Like, it's like, okay, cool. You make your way right on back down the street to where it is you live and what all you've earned and accumulated for yourself and for your family. But the place where it is a non-negotiable is when that thing starts to then impact where my kids get to go to school, how they get to experience their education, whether or not they can compete competitively, either for debate or for football or baseball or dance or ballet, whatever it is that they choose, whether it impacts my ability to then compete on a job. And I know that it does, right? Because a lot of these people then get to take those same attitudes into managerial positions, deciding who gets to then join this part of the workforce. But as it relates, I don't want to go on a crazy tangent, but I just wanted to say I'm more muted to their respect for my humanity. And I'm much more cinched in this idea of when your backwards ass, depraved beliefs really about yourself, because I know that's what's at the seat of it all, is the fact that you and I can't compete with each other. We're not in the same league. You're absolutely correct. And you got 400 years plus of denigration on me to have all the levels above. But unfortunately, you not found yourself in real competition, and you cannot take the heat.
Not real
you must
competition,
get out the kitchen.
Not real competition.
But again, if we had to be generous with the word, now you find yourself in competition with me, and you realize, well, what their parents realize is that they're back on the couch at home. What their parents know is they ain't got the jobs that they thought that they were going to be given off of their quality, which now they're having to compete off of the content and the quality, and they can't pass the muster.
Well,
and so that fury is really a rejection and a reflection of the fact that they are not prepared for this moment.
Yes, they're not, but I don't think they've been prepared for a lot of moments. But I think that is the overwhelming evidence supports that racist, conservative white people, whatever category they fall in, the right-wing extremists, MAGA, whatever you want to call them. The truth is they do not believe in themselves enough. Because if they believed in themselves enough, they would not have to keep the playing field so seesawed, so lopsided.
Disproportionately unlevel.
And so because they don't, while we have so much belief in ourselves, we can look at this lopsided playing field and say, watch me hurdle every one of these evidence. And I'm going to go well beyond. I'm going to reach depths that they have not even thought about. And that is something that they find infuriating, that they cannot coexist with, and they respond in violence. And the thing I will say about this violence that's so scary is I watched the video of him getting shot through the neck more times than I care to admit, in fear, because that shot was precise. It just made me sick. I was terrified watching that because we all speak publicly. And what frightened me about it is in the immediate aftermath, it was almost a whisper of go seek revenge, you guys. Yeah. Like go out, and whoever did this.
That was on Bullhorns.
You're
That's
right.
what I'm saying. It was on every social post.
Well, I mean a whisper
over from the highest levels of government.
That's what I mean.
That it was a permission structure.
That was loud. That was loud.
Right.
Well,
even
no doubt
from
about
Donald
it.
Trump's Truth Social
No
post.
doubt about it.
Let's pull the post.
Yeah.
Like,
no doubt about it.
And so
they
when Tiff was
the
saying
orders.
we weren't mourning and grieving,
Mm-hmm.
I was mourning and grieving.
They followed the orders, right? Because otherwise HBCUs would not have had to close their doors.
You were mourning and grieving.
Point. So I'm mourning and grieving our ability to, it feels like there are pieces of our freedom that are being dismantled every single day, sometimes by the hour. So not grieving someone who's caused pain, but grieving what is going to be the repercussions on us and our freedoms as a result of how they began to frame this narrative. And even now, as soon as they found out that little white boy killed him, it was prayers up for him. Before they realized that it was not a black or brown person, they were on our heads like, we ready to put y'all back in the belly of a slave ship and send you back across the ocean, right? And then as soon as they realized who he was, the prayers up. Now, the frame is about whether or not he had a trans partner who was transitioning in the fall. So they can put it back at the feet of the left.
Which is, by the way, insane, right?
Yes.
Because none of us, first of all, I've been around LGBT politics from my work professionally and also personally, and I would never connote simply a person's identity as an LGBTQ person as being left.
Right.
I don't know what you were raised in a conservative Utah household.
Yeah.
And simply because your life partner at this time in your life might be a trans person does not tell me anything about what you think about me.
Hello, Bruce Jenner.
Okay.
Hello, Bruce Jenner.
Hello.
Thank you.
And the examples can go on and on and on. So even the trans pivot that the right is attempting to make, that don't square with my politics necessarily. I don't know. While I am a supporter of trans rights, what I don't know is anything about what this man believed politically. And by the way, he's never voted a day in his life.
It's not just the right attaching him to that. It's the media. Like, they are clamping on to that, too.
I agree with
it's
that.
like, what?
Is there a difference?
Because it's salacious.
At this point, you might be right,
that's
Andrew.
a great point, Andrew.
Is there a difference at this
who
point?
the owners?
Yeah.
Is there a
to
difference?
me, you still
These
have a
guys take their talking
responsibility. Like,
points.
I know these people when they're on air. Like, I know them. And just to hear them regurgitate what talking points from the White House or tap dance around what's real, it's so disappointing to see. It's just I don't know. It's just a lost cause. And I just feel like on some level, at this point, I feel so disconnected from politics. That's why I totally understand your point, Angela, and you brought it home beautifully when you were talking about impacts where your kids can go to school. And those are very real, tangible things. But when I get to the humanity piece, it just, I don't know. I just feel so disconnected from this landscape. And the closest thing I can compare it to, I think, about like enslaved women or just women who were trying to make it during the civil rights movement in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. When your spirit is in such danger that you got to huddle together and you float so far above, you can't even meddle in this melee right now.
Sure.
It can feel like that is the devil's business to be even engaging you in conversation and what you call a good health debate. The one thing and I think it's even above this, but the word that you use, Angela, that I have been, I don't know if you created this phrase or not, but I have definitely been using it as though it is my own. And that is psychological safety. Ever since you said that, I've said that so often because that is what I feel. Every time I'm doing Abby's show, like all day, I'm tight. I feel so just uncomfortable. When I walk in there, I feel uncomfortable. And when I feel that way in life, I vacate. I flee. Like I don't engage in that. And I, at this point, am starting to feel that way off TV sets. I'm starting to feel that way around people. And in my spirit, something is stirring, saying it is time to elevate. It is time to, the spirit inside you that is on this earth having a human experience needs to elevate. And I feel that spirit of commonality in a whole lot of other Black women too. Now, it could be with Black men, but I talk to a lot of Black women who just we're kind of observing, like, wow, this is really happening. And that doesn't mean we're apathetic. It doesn't mean we're not going to vote. It doesn't mean we're not organizing. But I take very extended breaks from looking at the minutia of what's happening in this world because it weighs my spirit down in a way that doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel natural to me. So I don't know what other people are going through spiritually, but it's what I feel.
That's powerful. I know. That's powerful. And I know we're closing out, but Angela,
and
please.
just really quick, I do want to say that while this country continues to grieve so many instances of loss of life, political officials who were in states that where flags were not flown half-mast and they weren't even acknowledged by the president for losing their lives. But I also want to point out that the day after Charlie Kirk was killed last Thursday, there was another high school shooting at Evergreen High School in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for us to realize that, yes, people kill people, but the access to guns and the lack of gun safety in this country will continue to perpetuate all types of harm and violence if we don't get it under control. I think that is a nonpartisan problem. Bullets are nonpartisan, and so should our ideology be around protecting citizens.
Yeah. You'd almost think our humanity would also be nonpartisan, right?
How about that? Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.